We have part two of our topic on Double Shot Espresso about fitting in. And it's a really robust discussion that we've been having with our listeners. एक सवाल आया था कि what kind of peer pressure do our kids experience, right? And it can be in any sphere of their life. How to dress, right? What you are watching, what you're allowed to watch at home, things like curfews में pressure होता है, where you are allowed to hang out, who you're allowed to hang out with, what kind of after school activities do you do or not do, parties that you're allowed to go to, things like even school functions like proms and things like that. um, Sleepovers, there's a lot of pressure about that. Wearing makeup, lot of peer pressure about that. You have to look a certain way, ठीक है, and you have to conform to what the majority of the people are um, saying is the standard of how you need to look and what you need to wear and how you need to behave. Looking cool, not looking nerdy, उसमें भी इतना peer pressure होता है. The kids, आप उनसे कहें कि if you do this, and they're like, no, but this is so nerdy, we can't, we can't be included in that. So in every aspect of that, even something simple like what to bring to school for a school lunch, उसमें भी इतना peer pressure होता है. The kids don't want to stand out. Sometimes they don't want to bring our desi khana, because जब वो गरम करेंगे और वो smell आएगी, people are like, ew, what is that, and that sort of helps to make them stand out, and they don't want to be, because in their minds, when they stand out, they are ostracized. Then their way of life and looking a certain way, being brown versus white, is um, is different, and the kids don't want to feel different. So ये सारी aspects में बहुत सारा peer pressure. Anything I missed out, Tisneen?
No, you've covered it all.
Okay, so is there a difference between fitting in and belonging?
I think belonging obviously is the healthier version of where your authenticity would be maintained, with your values would be honored. Um, when you're fitting in, I think you constantly are editing yourself. Contrary to your will, you're just doing it to fit in. Whereas if you're belonging, I think it allows for true expression. Fitting in can be exhausting, whereas belonging self-regulates you. You feel, in fact, it nourishes you and nurtures you. So in that sense, when you feel a sense of belonging, you feel more comfortable in your own skin because your tribe honors who you are. I think fitting in, you need to wear masks, whereas with belonging, it's about presence. It's about you showing up as yourself. With fitting in, you're shrinking. You're constantly shrinking and fitting into the mold that you're required to be. Whereas when you're belonging, you're growing and expanding your personality to greater heights. When you're fitting in, it's about a performance. Whereas when you're belonging, you feel safe. So you're not performing, you feel a sense of safety. Your external validation, which comes with fitting in, whereas with belonging, you'll feel a sense of inner calm, which is so peaceful and rewarding to for self growth, for that inner self to actually feel nurtured where it can grow. And I think you can fit in anywhere, but you will be only able to belong where you feel seen. And when you feel seen, obviously it's not for your exterior, it's for your interior. So I think belonging doesn't ask you to disappear to be accepted, whereas fitting in, many times you just want to, you need to silence yourself, you need to make yourself scarce or disappear literally in order to feel that you fit in.
One of the big words that is being thrown around these days is shrinking.
Yeah,
A lot of people feel that they need to shrink in order to be accepted,
yeah, yeah,
right? In order
yeah.
to fit in everywhere. There was a wonderful quote which said, "You can fit in everywhere and still belong nowhere."
Nowhere. Exactly. And I
Right?
think a good question at this stage would be to sit with yourself and say and ask, like, who knows the real you? You know, when we talked about the tribe,
Hmm.
we again say, oh, find your tribe. And we say it so casually. That for many of us is a lifelong journey
Yeah.
to actually find your tribe. So, who in your life really knows the real you and accepts that? You know, maybe you want to start from there and build those relationships. Maybe they don't come with your society or you know, in their circle of high five friends, but that is your tribe.
Maybe we need to change our tagline to say, where your Radio Azad, where your voice matters and where you fit in.
Always, always
Let's take a
fit in.
caller. Radio Azad, you're on the air.
आयशा एंड तस्नीम, आप लोग जो अल्फाज यूज कर रहे हैं ना, बिलोंगिंग, फिटिंग इन,
Mhm.
ट्राइब,
Mhm.
ये सब जो वर्ड्स हैं इतना डेप्थ है उनमें. मुझे एकदम फ्लैशबैक हुआ टू माय रोटरी स्कॉलरशिप डेज,
Mhm.
जहां मुझे वो टाइटल देते हैं स्टूडेंट एम्बेसडर ऑफ गुडविल,
Mm.
आर द स्टूडेंट हु विन द स्कॉलरशिप. और इसी तरह कीवी स्कॉलरशिप में भी होता है student ambassador of goodwill.
Mhm.
So they used to say, you don't have to fit in.
Mm.
Please wear your own dress, your country's mores and values, bring it to the speech platform and tell us about yourself and your country, your culture, your religion, and all. That
Yeah.
is why they give you the designation of student ambassador of goodwill.
Mm.
So they had said this. You do not have to fit in, but it will be great if you could belong to the tribe of Rotarians.
Yeah.
That is what they used to say. Please come and talk about yourself, about your authentic self. Do not change yourself
Mhm.
because we want to know who you are.
Yeah.
तो उससे मुझे बहुत ये आ गया ये feeling कि I just have to do what makes me comfortable, my authentic self. Yes, I will get inspired by others, but I don't have to change my values, my mores, my way of thinking just to fit in. But I definitely want to belong to that group, and whatever I can do it decently and nicely to belong is a very good emotional value and feeling.
Yeah.
तो मैंने सोचा मैं आप लोगों के साथ ही शेयर करूं.
I
Okay,
love it.
thank you, thank you,
And
thank.
and I feel in this country, you know, diversity, I mean, we've all seen better times where diversity is celebrated, right?
Mm.
That individuality is celebrated. It's like, hey, yes, there's the mainstream culture, but it's protected to a large extent. That's why in these times that struggle
Yeah.
is going on. But in our countries, this name, it's not like that. I think we are amongst the most racist people who don't accept differences, and we want everybody to conform. और अगर थोड़ा सा भी कोई different है तो उसको नहीं accept किया जाता, है ना? Let's take a caller. Radio Azad, you're on the air.
जी आयशा एंड तस्नीम,
जी.
एक कोट है कि व्हाई आर यू ट्राइंग सो हार्ड टू फिट इन व्हेन यू वर बोर्न टू स्टैंड आउट.
Nice one.
Yes.
सो मेरा एक पॉइंट है कि आप दोनों ये बताएं कि हम स्पेशली आई एम talking about teenagers when they have their own, develop their personality and they have their own identity. So how parents or how elder people, they try to make them understand that what are the criteria, what are the boundaries, why not to cross these. So how would you tell them and how would you explain these things in a way that you would convey your message and they will understand it also
Great
or
question.
absorb it?
Yeah, great question.
Okay.
Madam.
Repeat the question.
So if there is a teenager
Hmm.
and there is two different perspectives, right?
Hmm.
Maybe even a cultural clash or a generational clash. How would you talk to the teenager to try and make them see and understand your point of view?
First, validate their emotion.
Perfect.
Validate their point of view, because if you're, if you're talking about a child here or anywhere, I feel these days, uh, to ridicule them and rubbish their thought or point of view, you've lost them there.
Exactly.
So listen first, validate their point of view, and then probably the best way is to talk about the values of your family, because many times I've seen in desi families, and I think a lot of us face that over here, is where even though we are same, we are different, and a lot that happens outside doesn't happen in our household. So that's a very difficult pill for children to swallow, that okay, why are we different, like, oh, wo log karte hain, wo log ko karne do, hum aisa nahi karte hain.
Mm.
So I think to kind of draw that distinction will not fly well. But if you come from a value based, and I think what really works well with teenagers is personal examples. I think working with teenagers over the years, I have realized that storytelling is one of the best ways to get a message across.
Mhm.
So a real life example of yourself or someone else that you know your child age appropriate best. But I think weaving that into a real life scenario and setting an example by leading yourself is the best way. But definitely do not rubbish them of their point of view. Give them a different point of view and then try to lead them into that way of thinking, but not saying, okay, you're wrong, I'm right.
Yeah, and in fact, another of our callers has asked this question as well. So it seems like it's something that is on top, right at the top of people's minds. Yet, how important it is to listen
Yeah.
to our children, whether they are elementary school, middle school, high school, but like you're saying, to listen to them, to validate their feelings, and then to
Explain. Yeah.
explain
Yeah.
your point of view.
Yeah.
हम कहते हैं कि हमें नहीं सुनना,
Hmm.
but this is how things are going to be done,
Yes. Yes.
right? And then that's just not going to
And as I
happen.
always also say this, that, and I think we've talked about it on other shows as well, that not every moment is a repair moment. So when I'm saying validate the emotion and then explain your point of view, that necessarily does not happen on the same day sometimes.
Hmm.
It just depends on situation to situation. So if your child is very charged about something, feeling very emotional, is having a meltdown, and at that time you're going to validate the feelings and immediately go into your point of view, it's going to fall flat.
Yeah.
That day, that evening, or whatever the situation may be, is just to listen and validate. The next day maybe is the day to repair and share your point of view and a different perspective.
All right, extremely important point. Tasim, now let's get into this situation where you are in a company that you are not fitting in. So you're just accepting whatever is going on, Why don't you rock the boat? And you, as in not you personally,
Yes,
but
yes.
individuals.
Yeah, I think so many of us, we don't rock the boat because we fear conflict. Conflict is messy, It's there's a lot of work that goes into resolving a conflict in an unhealthy manner. So to avoid all of that, we don't rock the boat. You don't want to be labeled as being difficult. Isn't that the norm? If you stand up too often and speak up too often, you're like, ये तो बहुत difficult इंसान है, उसको
ये तो
हर चीज
bossy
में
है.
हाँ कुछ ना कुछ तो उसको कहना ही है, उसके 2 cents डालने ही है. So you're labeled as difficult and you fear that label. You could be then emotionally abandoned. I've seen that. I mean, I'm of course relating it to the example that you shared with the workplace, where you're abandoned, then, you're kind of ostracized as being the difficult one or the different one. But I've seen that happen in everywhere. Families may abandonment ho jata hai. If you stand up against one family member, you're the one who's the bad one, when actually everyone is just tolerating that family member, but nobody's saying anything. I think culturally we mistake obedience for respect. And because we think that, oh, if I'm being obedient, then I'm being a good person, a respectful person, we don't want to rock the boat, because we feel, okay, let us then just obey. Also, if you're having a really bad time in any situation in life, you have the freeze and the fawn, where you just freeze in the situation. It's a trauma response where you then don't do anything about it, you just fit in. Or you fawn, which is you get into people pleasing, because that's again a response to trauma. You don't want to face that whole shebang again, so you just freeze or fawn. um, Empaths don't rock the boat, because empaths are just genetically so empathetic towards the opposite person's feelings that they don't want to hurt you, they don't want to upset you, they don't want to anger you, that they tend to not rock the boat and conform more. Obviously, if you have had conditional upbringing towards love, where you felt like you had to earn your love, and if you didn't, there were consequences and there was a punishment for it, then you will feel like not worthy. So the self trust is not there, the self worthiness is not there. Therefore, the ability to stand up and speak up your truth will also not be there. Um, I feel peace is often confused with avoidance.
Yeah.
कि लेट मी मेंटेन द पीस, अब चल रहा है तो चलने दो ना, अभी कहाँ मैं सब चीज़ को अपसेट करूँ. सो वो पीस के चक्कर में हम चीज़ों को बर्दाश्त कर लेते हैं, फिट इन हो जाते हैं. एंड आई हैव ऑलवेज नोटिस्ड, एंड आई थिंक दिस ड्रॉज फ्रॉम पर्सनल एग्जांपल, दैट साइलेंस फील्स पीसफुल until your body starts keeping score.
Yeah.
Your mind body connection, people, because eventually you will start having ailments and you'll be wonder कि ये मुझ में कहाँ से आ गया, ये किधर से मैंने develop कर दिया. But there's years and years of pain that you have borne in silence, which is eventually going to have that mind body connection as well.
And there's a great quote about this, that not rocking the boat means sinking slowly.
Yeah, see, so true. I love it. Yep.
Hmm.
And that sinking then manifests itself in so many different ways. Like I was talking to somebody the other day, and she said, I don't know, the doctor says that I have very high stress, but I'm not feeling stressful. But your bones, your muscles, everything stores your stress, and
Yeah.
it will show up somewhere. So living a life of authenticity and standing up for who you are and being truthful is not really, I feel, a luxury anymore. It should be something that you choose for yourself, because eventually if you don't have health, then what do you have?
Yeah.
And ajkal the line between physical health and mental health is again a very fine one, because one affects the other and vice versa.
Sure. I think also there is a fear of being excluded, fear of being rejected, and a fear of being isolated.
Yeah.
Right? That whole abandonment issue that we have. And another reason that we don't want to rock the boat is we don't want the spotlight. Right? We want to be an unknown entity in this so-called group. We don't want to be singled out.
Yes.
So that's what it is. Let's see what our caller has to say. Radio Azad, you're on the air.
जी आयशा and Tasneem.
Ji, sorry for the long hold, Shahida ji.
No, that's okay. I enjoyed listening to you, and there are so many good points. Both of your conversation and the points relate to my and my son's conversation this morning.
Okay.
Really, I am listening very, carefully, and क्योंकि वही बात है कि yes, you will let it go and let it things happen because you are very comfortable. You don't wanna, because you are people pleaser, and you are trying to fit in. You don't wanna change anything. You don't wanna rock the boat, and in that also you are actually harming yourself in a way that you are not letting yourself flourish also.
Yeah.
What talent you have, what you are capable of. और ये फारूक ने मुझे आज realize करवाया during our conversation कि mom, whenever we were, you knew things are going to be, they are not the way they are supposed to be, but you couldn't do anything. But once, you were struggling, and I could see it, but I could not pinpoint to you. You were the one who had to do it.
कि नहीं मुझे फिट इन नहीं करना, मुझे इस सिचुएशन में डाई नहीं करना, मुझे I have to make a change. And look at you now, and you don't give yourself enough credit. You don't acknowledge yourself. So तो मैंने से यही कहा, मैंने कहा yeah, that is right, because I was trying to fit in so much, because I was trying to do कि नहीं कल्चरली ऐसा होना चाहिए, एज अ वाइफ मुझे ऐसा करना चाहिए, एज those kind of, और उसके दरमियान I hurt him and I hurt myself also.
Yeah, look
and
at
that's what we do.
I know we've exchanged some messages about the drama kafil that is going on. It's the
Yes,
same
yes,
kind
yes.
of thing, right? I don't know if
Yes.
you're watching it or not, but the husband is very abusive to the wife, and now the son is actually he's standing up to the father, and he's
That's
like,
right.
"You're not going to yell
my
at my
mother."
sisters and my mother, and you're not going to treat us like this, you're a good
Yes.
for nothing father, basically."
Yes, that is right. And somebody has to break that cycle. And हम कई दफा कहते हैं हम बच्चों के लिए भी are staying in the marriage, but actually बच्चे जो जिन्हें थोड़ा sense और वो है, they will actually appreciate you.
Yeah.
कि नहीं, you took the step, you broke the cycle. It is not fair, you know. तो क्योंकि हम लोग culturally भी और वैसे भी we are so brainwashed. और the thing से हम चीजों का रटा लगाते हैं, जिस तरह we were talking about that also, कि हाँ एग्जाम देना तो रटा लगा के दे दिया, तो इसने कहा तो लेकिन वहां से नॉलेज तो नहीं आती ना. तो once our children have that kind of thing awaken in themselves, कि नहीं, we have to think for ourselves, we have to stand up, we don't have to fit in. If अगर हमारे साथ कोई fit in करना चाहता है, well and good, लेकिन we are not going to compromise ourselves to fit in.
Yes.
क्योंकि मुझे याद है कि when he was in elementary school, American families, उनकी माएं, बच्चे, they were trying to fit in with Farooq. Oh my God, how is in honor classes? How he is doing that? What you guys are doing that? लेकिन as soon as went to the middle school, to the high school, then the peer pressure and other things was that, and he did not listen to him, and he tried to fit in them. It was totally opposite.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I put so much emphasis that we have to listen. Thank you for your time.
Welcome. Thank you for that. My husband and I were having this conversation the other day where he was just reading a book on vampires, and he's like, I did not know this, but even a vampire needs to be invited into the home.
Okay.
ठीक है, और इनवाइटेड इन, और फिर वो अपनी वैम्पायरिंग शुरू कर देते. सो वी वर टॉकिंग अबाउट द मूवी दीमक ऑल्सो, जहाँ पे जिन जो होते हैं, और हमारे दीन में भी है कि यू हैव टू इनवाइट देम इन. हाँ, एंड देन दे take over, basically. So similarly with this whole thing about fitting in and all that, हम अपनी जिंदगी में टॉक्सिसिटी और टॉक्सिक पीपल को हम लिटरली इनवाइट करते हैं. हम उनके साथ जो है ना फिट इन करने की कोशिश करते हैं.
In that sense, but I'm like right now so many thoughts are going on in my head, like why is Shahid Bhai reading about vampires? Where are you going with this Deemak and inviting a jinn so that and then leading it to toxicity? And
it's just
it's like
these synapses are clicking. मैं क्या करूँ?
Okay,
but
amazing.
it's the whole thing is about inviting toxicity into our life, right? How we're trying to fit in somehow.
So where can I watch this Deemak?
Deemak, you missed it. We showed it.
Yeah, that was that. Is it
October wali
OTT?
Abhi nahi. But it's worth watching. It was such a eye-opening film.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Shahid loves to read. He's become a huge Stephen King fan and has read, I think, all his books and everything. And
and
then
he's into vampires these days, babe. Okay, my imagination is going places where it shouldn't be. So moving on.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Okay, next segment.
PG show. All right. So we talked a little bit about this. Okay, if you don't say anything, how does it affect you? What is the cost of staying quiet?
Oh, so many. Like we just were talking about the mind body connection. I think क्या होता है कि resentment build होगा. Like slowly that resentment towards the self. Forget other people. You'll just feel like I'm not myself, and you'll start not liking or hating yourself. Self respect erode होती है, self worth erode होती है, anxiety increase होती है, passive aggression show up होता है, sarcasm कहीं कहीं लीक हो जाएगा, बोलेगी मैं तो ऐसी नहीं थी, अब मेरे ये सार्की सैसी कमेंट्स कहाँ से निकल रहे हैं. इमोशनली नम फील करते हैं कोई कोई लोग कि अब मुझे पता ही नहीं है, मैं बस जी रही हूँ, आई हैव नो कनेक्शन टू माई सेल्फ. एक बर्नआउट, एक आइडेंटिटी की कंफ्यूजन, आइडेंटिटी इम्पोस्टर जो हम बोलते हैं कि भाई यू आर लिविंग समवन एल्सेस लाइफ, यू डोंट नो हु द ट्रू सेल्फ इज. डिप्रेशन और वो सब जो एलिमेंट्स जिसकी मैं बात कर रही थी कि वो फिर वो बॉडी पे भी असर करने लगता है. रिलेशनशिप्स आपके हॉलो हो जाएंगे. You will feel कि I belong everywhere, but I belong nowhere. Because that belonging itself is fake, right? It's that fakeness that you have assumed is belonging. You're just fitting in. So your relationships will be hollow, and no real friends. And I can think of a few people right now who are very famous in my world, where friend circles are concerned and parties and events and ye and wo, but I know who do not have one true friend to their name. How hollow that life might look like from the inside. So I feel what you don't show eventually doesn't disappear. It leaks out, in yourself, in your relationships, in your family life, and that's the very heavy price to pay for fitting in.
Yeah, and see, you teach people how to treat you.
Yes.
So when you don't speak up, when you're silent, then it's not like you deserve what is happening to you, but you're playing a part in what is happening to you.
Yeah, what you allow will continue, so that's the cycle that you've chosen to live in, then that's the cycle of life you will attract.
Yeah, and it's never too late to break that cycle. Absolutely. This is something you have to understand. So the question, the $1 million question that everybody wants to know is, okay, तो अब हम कैसे इसको बंद करें? How do we stop fitting in? But before that, let's take a caller. Radio Azad, you're on the air.
Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Wanted to jump in, and the thought that came to mind, the thing as you were talking, is we can just look around, and one big example is politicians who, in order to fit in, or maybe it's a power thing, you want to be around people who are toxic, who you don't agree with, but you want to be near them, but maybe their celebrity status or their power will rub off on you to benefit from that. So I think part of it is sometimes out of fear, people do that, but also to get some benefits that they perceive are there.
Good for them, yeah.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. Thank you.
Thanks.
So, how to stop fitting in?
Let's start with what we ended. Stop being a people pleaser. I have told them, it was an affirmation for me for the longest time. So people pleasing, I'm telling you, is fear dressed as politeness. So own it, stop it, set boundaries for yourself. Remember, boundaries again are some things that you do. You cannot set a boundary saying, Aisha, stop coming to my house. She never comes. She should come. But if I set a boundary saying, Aisha, stop coming to my house.
Invitation आएगा.
नहीं, but दोस्तों के वहाँ invitation की जरूरत नहीं होती है. भी आ जाते लोग. But that's a boundary that I'm setting for Aisha. That Aisha, you stop coming. That's not in my control. Instead, if I say, Aisha, you come, sorry, I'll not open the door now. That's in my control, right? It's a boundary I'm setting for myself. Lame example, people, but effective because you get what I'm trying to say. I'm saying a boundary is something you take charge of and you take control of. It's not something the opposite person needs to do because you don't have control over it. So boundaries and people pleasing need to stop. Kindness. We all want to be kind, good human being. But remember that kindness includes honesty. You cannot be kind and fit in. Oh, मैं kind हूँ इसलिए मैं fit in हो रही हूँ. That's not kind.
That's people pleasing.
Yes. So be honest and then be kind. I think overgiving is exhausting. So one way to do that is to take care of yourself. Make sure that you have certain silent contracts with yourself, that ये मेरी priorities है, इनके लिए मैं हमेशा वक्त निकालूंगी. And please make sure you include yourself over there, not just your kids and your family. A way to, if you're getting angry a lot, then that's a moment to sit and reflect. If you're asking me how not to fit in, check with your anger, because resentment is delayed anger. कहीं ना कहीं ये resentment जब pile up होगा तो आप short tempered हो जाएंगे, आप snappy हो जाएंगे, आपके अंदर एक built-in rage होगा जो वैसे नहीं निकलेगा, but driving में कभी-कभी या कभी-कभी बच्चों के साथ unintentionally एक, you'll burst like a volcano, and then you need to sit with yourself and say, hey, what am I actually not doing in my life that my anger is bursting into pockets of life otherwise. The ability to say no, I think, goes hand in hand with boundaries and people pleasing, but that's so important when you want to stop fitting in. The art of saying no.
Yeah.
And sometimes no is a complete sentence. We don't practice that enough. So start practicing that in smaller areas of life. Like you invited for a lunch. I'm sorry, I cannot make it. That's it. Try that. Saying that. You'll feel uncomfortable. I did at first because I felt I had to give an explanation. Why can I not make it? Oh, I'm busy. I have this. I have a session. Sometimes you don't need to give an explanation. Sometimes no is a complete sentence. It'll drain your self-worth. So therefore, I feel a way to not, to stop fitting in is to value yourself better. And how do you value yourself better? By knowing what your values are. So have that exercise with yourself where you sit and you write your values down. That for me, authenticity is important, loyalty is important, da 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 da, and then stick by those like holy grail, because that will be a mental check for you. When you can actually see in writing what you stand for and what you value, you will be able to value it better. And then I think last but not the least, choose peace. And peace not at the cost of fitting in, because that we discussed is actually fear disguised as safety, but peace where your truth is the peace. When you actually own it, and I think you and I have talked about this in different break times across different Wednesdays, that when you actually start owning your truth, it comes with such a peace of surrender and acceptance that it's liberating, because you finally don't give a
damn.
Yep.
Yeah, I would also add that you build circles where these differences are welcomed and not just tolerated.
Absolutely.
Right? Where you can be you. And that's okay. Just the way you are.
Yes. And you're allowed to make mistakes. Friendships which allow you mistakes, friendships which forgive, learn, and move on are the circles that you need to belong to. Circles where you're required to be proper, 24/7, perfect, cannot make any mistake, otherwise you'll be ridiculed and shamed. Exit, run. Don't ever look back.
Yeah. Toxic. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. What a great points we got throughout the show today as well. You have a poem?
Yes, I do. Actually, not so much. I mean, I just a few lines, which when I wrote them, I'm like, is this a poem? I'm not sure, but you guys decide. But this one, just a few thoughts that I had, which reads like this. You learn to soften your edges, you learned to soften your edges so rooms wouldn't feel threatened. You learned to swallow words and called it maturity. But silence has weight, and your body remembers every truth you postponed. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to fit true. True to your breath, true to your nose, true to the voice that refuses to disappear. Belonging isn't found in crowds, it's found in courage. The courage to say, this is me and I am staying.
Wow, this is beautiful.
Yeah, so I have a few fractured lines here and there, but I think the ethos, the gist of it being that I think we need to own ourselves, own our personality, don't fit in, fit honest, fit true, fit whole, and fit home. Home is
Love it.
is a place where people who love you are there regardless of how you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the whole thing about being together. I'd written one line about this, that if you are not you and I am not me, together we miss a beat, you see.
Mm-hmm. We sure do.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for staying with us today. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel and find us on Spotify, and download the Radio Azad app to tune in to our live shows.